So much has happened in the ministry since you filmed the early years segment in 2007. Where did things go from there?
Well, 2007 was a big year for us. We finally finished producing our first 3 products, the Healing Journey DVDs, the Student Manual, and the Meditation Verse Pack. In order to make the materials available, we launched our website, hishealinglight.org. I wasn't sure what would happen at that point, and I still remember my surprise when we got our first order for materials from someone I'd never heard of in another state. How did that happen? Well, like it always does, someone told someone.
Yeah, isn't that right? And that was the same year you did your first boot camp training and launched the 5 pilot classes who tested out the materials. I remember you had only 7 women participate.
I know, boot camp has really come a long way since then. The 4-day training has proved to be one of the most important things we do each year, preparing and supporting new leaders for the Healing Journey class. Last year, 2012, we did 4 boot camps around the country with about 120 people participating.
Wow, you started with just 3 products, and now with your newest study coming out, you will have over 30 products. It's really grown. What came next?
2008 was the year we completed the curriculum kit. I really wanted to provide the most complete and support-intensive curriculum possible, so I created the Class Facilitators Manual, the Small Group Leaders Guide, and the Training DVD, literally unloading my years of experience with the class into those books. I wanted new leaders to be as successful as possible leading their own class. It took about a year to finish those pieces.
A really unique part of this kit is the training DVD because it depicts how the group processing is supposed to work through the role plays, which is very helpful. With the curriculum kit now finished, we were able to finally offer the Healing Journey class to anyone in the world, and that was a monumental step for the ministry.
And that was also the time we finally went through the process of incorporating as a nonprofit and getting our 501c3 designation. We were all grown up now as a tax-exempt ministry.
So I know that at the beginning, you were pretty certain that the Healing Journey class was the entire focus of the ministry. But that wasn't the case, was it, Cyndy?
No, it was literally only a few months later when the Lord laid another study on my heart to write. I began to see that the Healing Journey class was the beginning of the process, but not the end. I wasn't content to see students just heal and go back to their old life. I wanted them to go all the way and live the life God created them to live, to experience the promised land part of their journey with God. So I wrote Running with Horses, a 13-week study.
But that wasn't the only project you were working on at the time, was it?
No, I'd been writing a nonfiction book, Roadmap to Healing, for years, but never had time to finish it. But once I was done with the Healing Journey class, I was able to do that. It finally came out in 2009 and is now in its 2nd printing.
And while Cyndy was working on her next project, the Lord led me to start a men's Healing Journey class. I wanted the Lord to do the same healing work in me that I had seen in Cyndy and the other women in her classes. I've led a men's group every year since then.
It's been amazing to see what has happened with the men's side of the ministry. Even though it was never the original focus of the ministry, God obviously had other plans.
That's right, Stephanie. And it's probably just as well that I didn't know about those plans at the beginning. 2 years later, the Lord spoke to me very clearly about the need to refilm the lessons and revise the materials for men. And He asked me to do it. Oh my. It took a while to digest all that, but eventually I accepted where God was leading me. So I formed a national men's leadership team, drawing from men around the country who were also leading groups. And today, I'm in the process of revising the lessons for men and preparing for the filming project. And I'm pretty excited about where all this is headed.
I know this is a huge project ahead, but I also know the Lord has been so faithful, providing everything this ministry has needed now for years, and I know He will do it again. Cyndy, what came next after your book was out and Running with Horses was written?
It was interesting, Stephanie. With the 2 studies written, I could see a hole between them. Most students weren't ready to go from the Healing Journey class to running with horses. A deeper relationship with Jesus needed to be established first. So I wrote Resting in Jesus, a 9-week study, and that solved it. Now I felt like we had a complete curriculum that would take a person from the most broken place in life to living a life of joy and victory.
You were surprised when the Lord directed you to produce Resting in Jesus, even though Running with Horses had been written first. But it was the right decision, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, because people needed that one first. I couldn't believe I was back in another filming project. But God was faithful, and we finished producing that in the spring of 2011. That was about the same time when the Lord opened another door and asked us to begin a partnership with a women's prison ministry called Daughters of Destiny.
And that has been incredible. To see what the Lord has done sending Cyndy into the women's prisons with a message of healing and hope. The inmates have been very responsive, and this part of the ministry is really taking off now. And we hope to see the Healing Journey class offered in more and more prisons too.
By now, you were probably pretty used to the Lord moving you along at a fast pace. So I assume it wasn't much of a surprise when He told you to film Running with Horses immediately after Resting in Jesus, was it?
No, we really did know that one was coming, and today we're in the final stages of producing that Bible study.
What about some of the other projects the ministry has launched?
Well, I wanted a vehicle to be able to reach out to communities with a hopeful message of healing and wrote an event called Wings of Healing. It's a 2-hour event that includes worship, a healing message, and my own testimony. We've done Wings of Healing in 4 cities and hope to do more. We also produced a retreat curriculum for those who have completed the Healing Journey class, and also flip books which contain all the essential healing tools in a pocket-sized booklet.
Where are the headquarters of the ministry?
Well, Stephanie, we live in Colorado Springs, and for years everything operated out of the basement of our home. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of boxes that I hauled up and down our stairs over the years. What a relief when God increased our donations to the point where we could rent an office. And we've been in it now for about 2 years.
So, do I dare ask, what's next?
I never know and I never ask. I always tell people that I have not led or directed this ministry, even though my title may say director. The Lord has led this ministry. I simply run along behind Him and try to keep up. The future is always a mystery to me, but I'm not concerned about that because I know the Lord has birthed this ministry and grown it every step of the way. Whatever He has planned next, it is good, and that's good enough for me. I feel a tremendous sense of privilege to be part of something that is so profoundly changing lives.
And I would second that. I've never been part of anything where I've seen the Lord change people so dramatically. It's really great to be part of this.